that if you tell a lie big enough and long enough, the whole world will believe it.
Well, that's what Goebbels said.
That's exactly, and that was my mistake. I attributed it to Joseph Goebbels, Minister of Propaganda for the Nazi Party, and they slammed me for 30 days.
You're
Wow.
white supremacist,
I should have put-
intrinsically racist.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I should have put the quote up without attributing it to the author. Then I, would have been safer. Rupa Vilas is here. This is my first temple president in Canada. Unfortunately, he will not show us his divine form, so we can only just see his name in a black background. Hare Krishna, Rupa Vilas Prabhu.
Haribol.
Jai. He's here. He's a silent observer. Okay, so Vaikuntha Dev Prabhu said, can I join my godbrother Acyutananda Prabhu? And I gave him this link.
And where's Madhusudana?
Madhusudana, that's a good question. I can Facebook him really quick.
Yeah.
And I can tell him that you're asking about him.
He and I, everybody in 26 Second Avenue, we were initiated in front of these pictures.
Really? Okay. Let me just go back here to
Krishna Das, to everyone, I'll be right back very quickly.
okay.
Krishna.
And I'm contacting Madhusudan Prabhu. Acyutananda
I'm
Prabhu
already back.
is asking for you to please join our Zoom TLC talk. Okay. I hope you'll notice the message. All right.
Oh, Dr. Phil joined and then left.
Dr. Phil, who was that?
Here he is again.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Phil.
We might be having trouble signing in.
Sometimes devotees sign in, with their secular name. They're actually initiated devotees, but we don't know.
Yeah.
Phil, are you initiated devotee? Hare Krishna. Hello.
Hare Krishna.
Phil.
You talking to me? Oh,
Yes.
It's Prajumna. Hare Krishna.
Oh, it's Prabhu. Okay, you're in as Phil. We're wondering who Phil was.
New computer.
Okay, and we have Goradas. There's two of me in here. There's, I don't know. It's like kind of like what was his name? The one that was imitating Krishna.
Oh,
Who's the one that had extra arms glued on?
Oh, Poshandra Vasudev. I forget how you say it.
Hey, what passcode did you use?
Skora.
It's
Right.
me. It's
Oh,
me.
Sikarani's come in as me. Okay.
Haribol.
Hare Krishna, Sikarani. Welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Okay.
Okay, I think we're finally ready to begin. Dude,
I
I
was-
was having a heart attack there. I didn't know what was going on.
What was the name of the imitation, Krishna? Something
It was
Vasudev.
actually Sikarani. She was using my name. She was hiding behind my name.
So,
No, I logged in to see if everything is right. I will log in with my account. I'll leave it.
Okay, come back with your guitar image.
so what is the name of that imitation, Krishna? Something Vasudev, he called himself.
Yeah, I'm trying to
Starts
remember.
with a P.
Yeah, with a P. Not Purandar. Not
No.
what was it now?
Oganda, Poshanda, Parashanda, something.
Rupa Vilas should know. He knows Krishna book. Rupa Vilas, do you remember who was the imitation Krishna?
Poundraka Vasudev.
Andraka. Yeah.
There you go.
Yes. He was saying that he was the real Krishna and that Krishna was an imposter.
No, Shishupal was born with 4 arms.
Really?
Yes. And Krishna came to the birth ceremony. And someone told Shishupal's mother, "This is the boy that's going to kill you." And
Oh.
Krishna said, "Not right away. We'll take it." And then another, either Krishna or another is the Chitralekha may have said, when he gives 100 or 120 or 100 offenses, verbal
100.
offenses, then
100 offenses. On the 100th offense.
Pradyumna, are you able to give your beautiful, handsome face, or do you have to remain as a black square?
I will be in and out. It's also hot, so I'm not presentable.
Okay, fine. We'll see you as a black square then. All right. At least it's being a black square is better than being a black hole, I guess. All right. So I will share the screen to where we left off last time.
every time Shishupal insulted Krishna, Krishna is always smiling. Krishna, everything gives pleasure to Krishna. So Shishupal was insulted. He says, "You're not even a Kshatriya." And everything Shishupal said was reminding Krishna of Braja.
Oh,
No, you're just a cowherd boy. Yeah, right. That's where those were the days. And on and on. Everything he said. You don't deserve to sit up there. You don't belong here. And everything gave pleasure to Krishna.
hmm.
So Acyutananda Prabhu, we have 4 of us that I can see that are here right now. So why don't you begin, please, with Sanatana Goswami thus inquired into all phases of devotional service. And then, yes?
So is that the original Pradyumna?
I don't think so.
Oh,
No, this is Montreal Pradyumna.
maybe he's an imitation. Does he have 4 arms? Sanatana Goswami thus inquired into all phases of devotional service or Krishna consciousness. Lord Chaitanya taught him most confidentially from authoritative scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam. The Lord also referred to the Vedic literature known as Hari Vams, which gives information about the transcendental abode of Krishna. This information was disclosed by Indra when he offered prayers after being defeated upon challenging the potency of Krishna. That's the whole Govardhan Lila. In Hari Vams, it is stated that although birds and airplanes can fly high in the sky above the earth, they cannot reach the higher planetary systems. The higher planetary systems extend upward from the sun planet, which is situated in the middle of the universe. Above the sun, our planetary system, stop here. 5th canto, everybody remember this, write this down. 5th canto, chapter 22, verse 8 is the purport about the sun and how we accept the position of moon and sun, and they didn't go to the moon, and we do not accept the scientific conclusions because they are always changing. And I heard someone tell me since 1944 they changed the speed of light 4 times because it didn't fit what was happening. The rocket arrived there too soon or too late, and because their calculation of the speed of light was wrong. Einstein is said to have said, if your formulas don't fit the results, change the formula. Nice. This is why we do not accept the conclusions of the scientists, but we accept the conclusions of Sukadeva Goswami. So we can go back to the text.
Yes, sir.
I will. 5:22, verse 8. Purport, very important.
I have it.
And then extended upward, situated in the middle of the universe. Above the sun are planetary systems where persons who are elevated by great austerities and penances are situated. The whole material universe is called Devi Dham, and above it is Shiva Dham. Where's that Shiva? A Vaishnava is fond of Shiva. He was on last week. Where Shiva and his wife Parvati, Shiva and his wife Parvati eternally reside. Above that planetary system is the spiritual sky, where innumerable spiritual planets, known as Vaikunthas, are situated. And above these Vaikuntha planets is Krishna planet, known as Goloka Vrindavan. The word Goloka means planet of the cows. Sorry, vegans, because Krishna is very fond of cows. His abode is known as Goloka. Goloka Vrindavan is larger than all the material and spiritual planets put together. We had some devotees who became vegan, and they were presenting their version. And I said, look, the whole planet is called Goloka. His name is Gopal, Govinda. What do you mean no dairy? And Sripad Narayan Maharaj said, when we are, because their idea is that even the dairy cows ultimately go to slaughter. So we shouldn't support the dairy industry. But Narayan Maharaj says, when we offer these things, milk products to Krishna, those cows get liberated.
Nice. Because there's a lot of mental speculation about that.
Yeah, with many devotees have gone with book tables and prasadam to vegan festivals, and they kind of get insulted there. You know, oh, you still eat dairy, you know, and they get embarrassed. So some of them became became vegan.
Right. Their argument is that by supporting commercial dairy, we're supporting violence to the cows. But I mean, before we had New Vrindavan and Ahimsa dairies, Srila Prabhupada was using commercial milk. So have our standards come higher than Prabhupada's? I'm saying Prabhupada used commercial milk. It's not the best, but he didn't make a big deal out of it.
Well, that's all we had. You don't have cows in New York, 26 Second Avenue.
Is this Vaikuntha Dev at V60 Thin Q5G? Is that Vaikuntha Dev?
Yeah, it's Loka Guru Das. My
Oh, it's
computer,
local.
You got on. Oh, great.
well, my computer won't process the passcode. So what can I do?
Try again. And we all tried about 5 times, and then I got in. I don't know.
Yeah, great.
Pray for the mercy. We're in Mercury retrograde, so communications in the ether are very
Yeah.
fakak. That's a Sanskrit word, you see.
Krishna Chandra Prabhu, would you like to read the next paragraph in his prayers?
Absolutely. Please give me one moment. Let me see. In his prayers, right?
Yeah.
In his prayers, the Harivamsha, Indra admitted that he could not understand the situation of Goloka, even by asking Brahma. Devotees of the Narayan expansion of Krishna attain the Vaikuntha planets, but it is very difficult to reach the Goloka planet. Indeed, that planet can be reached only by devotees of Lord Chaitanya or Lord Sri Krishna. Indra then said to Lord Krishna, "You have descended from that Goloka planet in the spiritual world, and the disturbance I created was in all due to my foolishness." Therefore, Indra begged Lord Krishna to excuse him.
Acyutananda Prabhu, this must be when what he's begging to be forgiven is when he sent the torrential rainfalls to
Yes.
Uh-huh.
After the whole Govardhan event. And that's another aspect, because after here we get into how Rasika it is and Madhurya. When Kalia, after the dance of Kalia, was the first time the gopis saw Krishna now as an adolescent and became attracted to him as lover. And so Krishna gets the idea, okay, if I have a national emergency, something really big, then that will, nobody will mind if young girls can see me. They're supposed to be veiled. But now, if there's some big event like dancing on the heads of giant serpents, that's okay. So the next national emergency was the forest fire. Kamsa's men Kamsa sent men to set fire, but Krishna made it go away. And then next national emergency, Krishna says, "Why are you worshiping Indra? Let's worship Govardhan. Govardhan provides everything for us." Kind of a pantheistic view. And then now, let me try and get the word right. Pareidolia is a fancy word. It's when you look in a cloud and you say, "Gee, that looks like a horse," or that looks like Abraham Lincoln. That cloud is something. So Krishna started, all the Brajavasis started to bring offerings to Govardhan. People said, "Wait, look at the mountain of Govardhan. I see two eyes and a mouth. It's Krishna. Govardhan has become Krishna." See, and he's eating all the offerings. Govardhan and Krishna have become has expanded into that. Then Krishna lifts it, and lifting that hill, my God, everyone can look at Krishna, and the gopis and also Krishna were gazing back. There's even delicate commentaries that Krishna was holding up, and he gazed with his left hand. See, so he could look over to where the gopis were. Sometimes his hand trembled in transcendental love by seeing the gopis. And still, even after all of this, that's a great chapter when Nanda Maharaj is captured by Varuna. He comes back and he tells the coward man, "I was captured by Varuna. You should see Varuna giving offerings and gifts to Krishna. I think he's Narayan." And the cowherd men say, "No, he lifted Govardhan Hill." And the cowherd men said, "Well, we helped. We had our staves, our sticks." And there's that picture. Many times they'll show the elder cowherd men are also holding up it's because we helped, because that would ruin the rasa. But that's a great purport for that. That's in the 48th chapter of Krishna book.
I've never read the Hari Vangsha that this is being quoted from, but it says that it literally means the lineage of Hari, not to be confused with the Hari Vangsha Purana, and that it contains 16,374 slokas. And this text is also known as the Hari Vangsha Purana. So this is confusing. It says not to be confused with the Hari Vangsha Purana, but yet it says that it is. And it's believed to be a kila, an appendix or supplement to the Mahabharata, and is traditionally ascribed to Vyas. So can you say anything more about Hari Vangsha?
No, I never read it. I don't know, but here it is quoted.
Yeah.
Who is the author? Is it one of the Vedavyas Puranas or?
Yeah, it's ascribing it to Vyasadeva.
Okay.
The most celebrated commentary of the Mahabharata by Nilakanta Chaturdhar, the Bharat Bhav Deepa, also covers the Hari Vangsha. According to a traditional version of the Mahabharata, the Hari Vangsha is divided into 2 parvas and 12,000 verses. The critical edition has 3 parvas and 5,965 versions.
Well,
interesting.
Yes.
Our Acharya's quote from it. Okay, so who's after your good self there? I guess it's Sikarani. It's your turn.
Sure.
Last phase of the pastimes.
The last phase of the pastimes of Lord Krishna is described in Srimad Bhagavatam as Mausala Leela. This series of pastimes includes Krishna's mysterious disappearance from the material world. In that pastime, the Lord played the part of being killed by a hunter. There are many improper explanations of scriptural passages describing the last portion of Lord Krishna's pastimes, such as the explanation of descriptions of Krishna as the incarnation of a hare. But Lord Chaitanya properly explained these passages and gave them the right interpretation. As far as Krishna being the incarnation of a hare is concerned, This is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, the Vishnu Puran, and the Mahabharata. In the Mahabharata, it is stated that Lord Vishnu snatched a grey hair and a black hair from his head, and that these two hairs entered into the wombs of two queens of the Yadu dynasty, namely Rohini and Devaki. It is also stated there that Lord Krishna descends to the material world in order to vanquish all the demons. Some say that Krishna is the incarnation of Vishnu who lies in the ocean of milk within this universe. Srila Gurupa Goswami in his Laghu Bhagavatamrita, along with his commentator Sri Baladeva Vidya Bhushana, have discussed these points fully and have established the exact truth. Sri Jiva Goswami also discusses these points in the Krishna Sandarbha.
Acyutananda Prabhu, any comments, please?
No, not now.
I'm just wondering about this Maushala Leela. That's where the hunter shoots Krishna allegedly in the ankle.
And all the Yadus kill each other when okay, Mosala is when has something to do with the insult when they come before. Who do they come before? And they said one of us is pregnant. And
Samba. That was Samba.
It was Samba. Yeah. And who does he insult? He's pregnant, but there was this iron.
The Brahmins. He's asking if it's a boy or a girl.
Yeah.
And then
it's a iron, a big black iron, and
right.
They break it, they grind it into powder, and they throw it in the shore of the ocean, and the reeds grow up, and they're all as hard as iron. So they were having a play fight, but all of the reeds they were whacking each other with were as deadly as iron, and they died in that fight. So that's the winding up of these Leelas of the Yadu dynasty. And then Krishna also, whatever one thinks of at the time of death, that is his next birth. So the great purport, Vishwanath Chakravarti says, who was Krishna meditating on? Well, at the time of his depart, he was meditating on Radharani, and therefore he becomes his next birth. Is Lord Chaitanya. He becomes Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Oh, very nice.
That's amazing.
Fantastic. Nobody can make this stuff up, you know?
Yeah. That's
so
amazing.
I want to show, since there's how many people are on?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There may be more. I can't tell.
And they can see. So this is the one of the. Can you see it? Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is one of the posters. This is a copy that I laminated. So now it's eternal, and this is the eternal pastime of Lord Chaitanya in Srivas Angan Kirtan Panchatattva. And this is, we don't know who this is before Jadharani copied them.
Right.
And, better. And this other one, this has a story now. This is the other Panchatattva that we all took initiation from in 26 Second Avenue. The actual original poster is here in Alachua at Rupanuga Prabhu's house.
Wow.
And this is the, you can see they're very formal. This is a very formal portrait. Is there a glare on the screen?
A little one.
A little bit.
Okay, let me.
They have Radha and Krishna above Lord Chaitanya's head, though.
Yeah, and the thing is, they're wrapped in an Om sign. So Prabhupada said that is not to be done. So Jadharani took that out. Still, it meant that they understand that Radha Krishna, Rasaraj Mahabhav, Sri Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nahiyanya, is none different than Lord Chaitanya, Radha and Krishna. But this is when Lord Chaitanya appeared in the kirtan that was established in Keturi Gram by Janava Devi after the disappearance of all of them. And she held a great kirtan, and it was a conference where she established the method of worship. One part of which is that we worship first Guru, then Mahaprabhu, then Radha Krishna, and then Narottam Dasako, the three Prabhus, Prabhu Traya were there. That's Shyamananda, Narottam, and Srinivas Acharya, and many, many, many others. And they raised the kirtan at Keturigram, and this Panchatattva appeared in their midst as now worshipable deities.
It'd be wonderful if you could get Rupanuga Prabhu to join us. I was trying to get him to give his Prabhupada memories, and he was going to do it for a while, then he changed his mind. But he has a lot. He had a lot to share.
Yeah.
Okay. Rupa Vilas Prabhu, would you like to read when Lord Chaitanya finished?
Yes. When Lord Chaitanya finished his instructions to Sri Sanatan Goswami, Sanatan, being empowered and enlightened, was so transcendently pleased that he at once fell at the feet of Lord Chaitanya and said, I was born in a very low family, and I have always associated with lowly people. Therefore, I am the lowest of sinners. Yet you are so kind that you have taught me lessons which are not even understood by Lord Brahma, the greatest being in this universe. By your grace, I have appreciated the conclusions which you have taught me, but I am so low that I cannot even touch a drop of the ocean of your instructions. Thus, if you want me, who am nothing but a lame man, to dance, then please give me your benediction by placing your feet on my head.
Any comments from you, Prabhu, or anyone?
That after, even more than Brahma, after Brahma also was remorseful for stealing the cows and the cowherd boys, then Krishna kind of took him to the side also so that the cowherd boys wouldn't see a demigod bowing down to him. That would kill their relationship, that he's God, that he's all powerful. So and Krishna not showing his opulence as God is the exercise of his opulence of renunciation. And it's funny that it says Lord Brahma bowed down 4 times. Why? 4 heads. So he bowed down north, south, east, and west. He bowed down. And Krishna is playing with a lotus like, come on, hurry up. Hurry up, come on. Thank you, goodbye. Yeah, go back. So
Get it over with.
yes, because you might be seen. I can't be seen with demigods praising me like God.
Because it'll spoil it for the Gopas.
Spoil it.
Yeah.
That's a further purport in the I think it's 48 chapter of Krishna book, and it's also chapter 48 in the 10th canto in Sanskrit, when Nanda Baba is arrested by a servant of Varuna. He went to bathe too early. So one of the servants is guarding all the waterways. He said, no, he shouldn't be here. This might be a dacoit or something. So he's arrested. But it calls Krishna.
Loka Guru Prabhu, would you like to read the next paragraph,
Sure.
please? Thus, Sanatana Swami.
It's not on my screen, though, unfortunately. Oh, here it is. Thus, Sanatana Goswami prayed for the Lord's confirmation that his teachings would actually evolve in his heart by his grace. Otherwise, Sanatana knew that there was no possibility of his being able to describe the Lord's teachings. The purport of this is that the acharyas, spiritual masters, are authorized by higher authorities. Instruction alone cannot make one an expert. Unless one is blessed by the spiritual master or acharya, such teachings cannot become fully manifested. Therefore, one should seek the mercy of the spiritual master so that his instructions can develop within oneself. After receiving the prayers of Sanatana Goswami, Lord Chaitanya placed his feet on Sanatan's head and gave him the benediction that all of the Lord's instructions would fully develop within him. Continue.
Any reflection on that? Well, I guess you can finish the chapter if you like.
Oh, sure. Thus, the Lord described the ultimate stage of love of Godhead. The Lord said that such a description cannot be very elaborate, cannot be given very elaborately, but that he had informed Sanatan as far as possible. The author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita concludes this chapter by writing that anyone who attentively hears these instructions of Lord Chaitanya to Sanatana Goswami very soon becomes situated in Krishna consciousness and engages in pure devotional service to the Lord.
Acyutananda Prabhu, is there can you say as an overview what the difference is between the teachings to Sanatana Goswami and that to Rupa Goswami?
Well, on a few meetings ago, I was surprised that Lord Chaitanya, in the teaching of Lord Chaitanya to Sanatana Goswami, talked about all those bhavas, Vyabhachari bhava, Sanchari bhava, Sthayi bhava. I thought we were reading from Nectar of Devotion,
Yes.
but he's giving all that to Sanatana also. But again, and did I say the different prayers last time? Jayatang Surato Pangoda.
Yes, yes.
So Sanatana Goswami is our Sambandha Guru, and that I specify because it can be misunderstood. I did for a while. So that Sambandha means relationship,
right?
And well, our relationship, does that mean our rasa? No, not yet, not yet. First, this Sambandha is what am I? What am I in relationship to? Krishna, other jivas, the universe, and all of this tattva. And that is all in Brihad Bhagavatamrita. Then the Rupa Goswami is the Abhideya, that is the practice of sadhana up to the highest Mahabhava. And then Raghunath Das Goswami, Gopinath, is the deity of Prayojana. That is when you know who am I, and you are practicing in your Siddha Deha, your eternal form, fully realized. Raghunath has a book of Vilap Kushmanjali, which is all Vrindavan Leelas in relationship to Krishna in your spiritual form. And here is
Pradyumna Prabhu.
Lord Chaitanya,
Sorry, go ahead.
Lord Chaitanya, of course, if Lord Chaitanya puts his feet on your head, I think we can call that Diksha. So the only other person that Lord Chaitanya told to make a Diksha disciple is Bhakreshwar Pandit. And he said, well, who? He said, well, the next person you see in the morning, give him Diksha. So he was bathing in the Ganges, and a dead body came down. And he said a mantra, and it came alive. And he gave him the name Murari Chaitanya. And that was his disciple. So he made a disciple there.
Wow.
But this is known, and this kind of story is there because rural people who raise domestic animals, they know that the first thing that a born animal sees, they think it's his mother. Shakespeare has that in Midsummer Night's Dream, and many times that happens. People who hatch different birds. I knew a man who, naturalist, he hatched an owl. He saved an owl's egg, and that hatched out. And that owl thinks that this guy is his mother. That's why there should be natural. Here, it's very, very, I think, very cruel. I think we're all probably affected by this.
Messed up.
The baby is born, and then he's taken to the maternity ward. taken away from the mother, put in a maternity ward. It's very, very, it must be very traumatic for us. That's why we're all crazy.
In other words, that samskara is a bonding.
Yes.
Hmm.
And even for the mother, they take, oh, we're taking away, then they give them shots and they give them this and circumcision, very, you know, and I don't know why they have to bring them to another part of the hospital.
Babies are now getting up to 50 vaccinations. It's
Yeah.
completely mad.
Yes.
Okay, Pradyumna Prabhu, would you like to start the new chapter for us? I'm sure that Acyutananda Prabhu will really excel in this one.
Atmarama's Chumana, well, Lord Chaitanya does. This is, he said this Atmarama verse to Sanatan and also to Prakashananda and to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. But I think the most, the most number is given to Sanatan. 18 versions to Sarvabhauma, I think 50 plus versions to Sanatan Goswami. And this is when we go to that, when Lord Chaitanya was Nimai Pandit, as a Pandit, he would teach these word jugglery. That was how you made a living as a stand-up comic, really. Yes, they would make jokes because it's like a thesaurus. You could take a verse, and they would all read verses, and they'd read 7-day Bhagavatam in 7 days, the Bhagavat Saptaha, and then they would find a connotation of some word, put it back in the verse, and it would mean something funny or clever. See, oh, what a brain, what a thing. Then when Lord Chaitanya comes back from Gaya, from being initiated, he is Krishna mad. Now, Krishna, 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 Pahimam. He's saying all that. And then Gopi, Gopi, Gopi. And his students say, how are we going to make a living? You were going to teach us how to substitute words like a great pundit. So now Mahaprabhu is using that same system. It's called Yadva. This or this or this or this. This means this. Yadva, this, or this, or this, or this. And Shankaracharya, oh boy, he takes these meanings. Oh, well, that means this and this and this, and pretty soon you end up with Mayavad. It can be misused, or it can be used for material profit, or it can be used now. He's going to explain this Atmarama verse.
It seems it must be one of the most important verses if Lord Chaitanya discussed it with so many great personalities.
Yes.
Pradyumna Prabhu, would you like to start the chapter? Is he there?
I don't see.
If not, I'll start it.
Mute.
Chapter 15, explanation of the Atmarama verse in Srimad Bhagavatam. Lord Chaitanya next explained to Sanatana Goswami a very famous verse known as the Atmarama verse. Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st Canto, 7th chapter, 10th verse. Atmaramascha munayo nirgranta apyarukrame kuravantya ahaitukim bhaktim itam bhuta guno hari. The general meaning of this verse is that those who are liberated souls and are fully satisfied within themselves will eventually become devotees of the Lord. This especially describes the impersonalists who have no information of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They try to remain satisfied with the impersonal Brahman, but Krishna is so attractive and so strong that he attracts their minds. This is the purport of this verse. Any comments?
The first example is the 4 Kumaras. They were Atmaramas. They were Brahmanandis. They had understood that we are not this body. They understood what I am. They didn't know who I am. They didn't know Vishnu was Sattvic, Sattvagun. But when they smelled the Tulsi leaves of his lotus feet of Narayan, this is at the incident of cursing the gatekeepers. Then they became Krishna Bhaktas, became Vaishnava.
Nice.
And this also proves that Brahman has personality and is not a one big amorphous consciousness of formless, nirakar, nirrup, nirgun.
Thank you,
But within
Jivan. Thank you, Jivan Mukta, for joining in.
And I want everyone. It's a great thing to read the Adi Lila, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, 5th chapter of the glories of Nityananda, which is after the 40th verse is all the description of Balaram Nityananda, Balaram's expansion. And the purports are very, very elaborate. That in the Vedanta Sutra, these Chaturvyuha expansions of Balaram are in the Brahmajyoti. Because I was at a Mayavad lecture, big gathering of a famous Mayavadi Dayananda, and he was talking in the Taittiriya Upanishad. It gives a krama, a step-by-step rising of Ananda. So the first Ananda number 1 is a Vedic prince who has wealth and no responsibility. The prince, not the king, the prince. He's lavished everything on him. He has no responsibility. He's going to be the king. In the meantime, he has every kind of enjoyment. That's Ananda number 1. Then Taittiriya goes on 100 times more than that are Gandharvas. 100 times more Ananda are Deva Gandharvas. 100 times more than Deva Gandharvas are Devas. 100 times more than Devas is Indra. 100 times more than that is Brahma. And then this Mayavadi stopped and he said, of course, the Anandas of Goloka we won't discuss now. Because Goloka is not within the 14 worlds. They don't know where Goloka is, but they know it's the supreme unlimited, because even Atmaramas are bhaktas of Krishna. So they're really afraid of this verse.
When you say 100 times more, 100 times more, 100 times more what? 100 times
More,
more bliss?
more Ananda, yeah.
Okay.
They put a number on it.
And Goloka Vrindavan, they have no reference point.
They don't. But we heard Loka Guru always likes to quote that even the Manjaris have 1,000,000 times more Ananda than Krishna.
Radharani 10,000 times, 10 million times more.
10.
I'll just finish this short paragraph and then Acyutananda Prabhu, please read the next one. Lord Chaitanya had previously explained this verse to the great Vedantist Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Sanatana Goswami, after taking lessons from Lord Chaitanya, referred to this incident and prayed to the Lord to again explain the Atmarama verse. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj, the author of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, appreciating the Lord's explanation of the Atmarama verse, has glorified Lord Chaitanya in a prayer. It's all yours, Acyutananda Prabhu.
Sanatana Goswami fell flat at the feet of Lord Chaitanya and requested him to explain the verse as he had formerly explained it to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Sanatana expressed his eagerness to hear the same explanation in order that he might be enlightened. When the Lord was thus requested by Sanatana, he replied, I do not understand why Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya so much appreciated my explanation. As far as I'm concerned, I don't even remember what I said to him. But because you are asking me of this of me, with the help of your association, I shall try to explain whatever. See, the Guru will tell different things to different audiences, according to the level of their devotion and whether they can handle it, whether they can probably do it. So there are those concessions. There's some people, yes, you're a nice guy, finish school. Yeah, you're a nice devotee, quit school. Take sannyas, leave everything. You're a nice person, open up the Gopal Govinda used car lot. That's what that's, and you know, make donations. So what he told, I do believe the number is 18 versions to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and to Sanatana Goswami, he gives over 50 different combinations of these. Each word has a definition, connotation of Atma and Rama, Brahma in this case means Ananda. Atmananda. So go back to the text. With the help of your association, I will explain. Even when the first question, Sanatana Goswami comes to Lord Chaitanya and says, Ke amai? Ke ami? Who am I? Why am I suffering? Tapatraya, why am I suffering the threefold miseries? Lord Chaitanya says, you know, you just want to hear what I'm going to tell you. Okay. So whatever. Thus, the speaker and the audience are very intimately connected. The speaker is enlightened by the presence of the audience. The speaker or master can speak very nicely on transcendental subject matters before an understanding audience. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya said that he did not know how to explain the Sanskrit verse, but that since he was in the association of Sanatan, he would try to explain it. So when the disciple is ready, then more explanation, higher explanation. And this is a note that I wanted to say also about some of the. Now I don't want this to go on too far, and what was very hurtful when I was with I went to some Ritwik classes. They were just going to read Chaitanya Charitamrita because they have terrific faith in Prabhupada's books, and we read the original. But when I would say something that Prabhupada told me, often they would say, well, I never heard Prabhupada say that. And I said, finally I said, yeah, Prabhupada is in his books, but Prabhupada was also in Prabhupada. Right? You know.
I hope so.
Yeah. But let's go on with the text because I don't want this to go into a whole.
Yeah, it looks like Kavi Chandra Swami is arriving here. He always appears with the face of Sri Mayapur Dham. It says connecting to audio. I invited him. All right.
Good, then I'll start all over again. No.
Okay.
Krishna Chandra Prabhu, would you like to read the next paragraph?
With pleasure. The Lord then went on to point out that there are 11 words in the Atmaram verse. Atmarama, 2, Cha, 3, Munaya, 4, Nirgrantaha, 5, Api, 6, Urukrame, 7, Kurvanti, 8, Ahaitukum, 8, Ahaitukim, 9, Bhaktim, 10, Itham Bhuta Gunaha, and 11, Hari. The Lord then began to explain each and every one of these words. As far as the word Atmaram is concerned, the Lord explained that the word Atma means 1, the supreme absolute truth, 2, the body, 3, the mind, 4, endeavor, 5, intelligence, 6, conviction, and 7, nature. The word arama means enjoyer. Therefore, anyone who takes pleasure in the cultivation of the knowledge of these 7 items is known as an Atmarama. Later, the Lord would describe the different kinds of Atmaramas, or transcendentalists. As for the word Munaya, or Muni, those who are great thinkers are called Munis. Sometimes the word Muni is also applied to a person who is very grave. Great sages, great austere persons, great mystics, and learned scholars are also called Munis.
Comments or questions, please?
Not now.
One that I have is there's that verse from the Mahabharata, Tarko Pratishta, where it's describing that one cannot be a Muni unless they have a view that is different from another Muni, but that ultimately Dharmasya Tattva, I'm forgetting the end of it, but it's described that the truth is ultimately hidden in the heart of the pure devotees of the Lord.
Yes.
Doesn't matter how great of a Muni you are.
Yeah.
Kavichandra Swami, welcome, Maharaj.
Could I, or Prabhu, could I ask a question?
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Jivan Mukta
Not
Prabhu.
Jivan Mukta?
Hare Krishna,
Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Could I
He's
ask a
driving
question
the car.
Hare.
Could I have ask a question of Acyutananda, Prabhu?
Yeah.
Go for it.
I'm curious when those rich Sikh devotees were saying that, you know, when you were mentioning your pastimes with Prabhupada and what you heard of Prabhupada, was there anything specific that they
No.
were protesting about, or just in general?
Anytime I would, like you were asking me to comment, so I'd say, oh, one time Prabhupada this, one time Prabhupada did that. Oh, well, I never heard that, I never read that. And they also have collection of letters, which are from so many different devotees. You don't know what the devotee's letter was, but if you want an answer to justify anything, you'll find a letter. And like local guru says, you know, we didn't walk around with tape recorders all the time. You know, we didn't walk around with cameras like we have now, cell phones. Hey, this is not recorded. You have to just trust me that I was there when Prabhupada said something.
Eyewitness testimony.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question, Jivan Mukta?
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't, no, it wasn't one specific thing. It was many things. Anytime I brought up something with Prabhupada, because they feel I'm letting them off the hook, that they feel separation, that they were not born at that time, or they were born at that time, but they didn't come. They
But
didn't come
why?
for
I mean,
initiation.
many of us are in that situation, but I see someone like yourself as, you know, a treasure in that, you know, I can't possibly see that someone like yourself would present, you know, a memory of Prabhupada that wasn't accurate, that wasn't true.
Yeah.
They do it to practically every devotee.
One example that I got by email, I said, because I supported that if women understand all the tattvas, Krishna tattva, bhakti tattva, prema tattva, rasa tattva, lila tattva, and know all of the Achintya Veda Ved superiority of all the other Vaishnava tattvas and can defeat Mayavadis and atheists, they can become gurus. And so then how come, so then I said, Prabhupada, once we asked him, how come most of the acharyas are in male forms? And he said, usually, in general, the acharyas appear as men to appear as a father figure. So some Ritwik or somebody wrote an email to me. It's unlikely that Prabhupada said that because there's Janavi Devi and Ganga Devi, and who is the other? There's a third.
Ganga Mata.
Ganga.
Goswami.
Yeah, I said that. Ganga Devi, Janavi.
Ganga Mata Goswamini.
Who?
Ganga Mata Goswamini.
I said that. Who's the third?
What's the lady who was in Vrindavan but without guru? You know who I mean?
Mirabai. Mirabai.
No,
No?
she's one of the in our line. Anyway, so she said, that's unlikely that Prabhupada said that because there are three in the 500 years of Lord Chaitanya, 3 ladies have been gurus. Yeah, well, that's 3 out of how many? And there are all the other branches and bunches and parishads who have lines coming down. They're all men. You know?
Who is?
And let's go over to Ramanuja Sampradaya, Madhva Sampradaya, Vishnu Sampradaya, Nimbarka Sampradaya, all men. Even the Shankaracharya, in general, in Vedic culture, men sit on the Vyasasana and men conduct. So what do you mean? So what's wrong if Prabhupada in general they are? This is, you know, so hurtful to have to say.
Well,
and what do you mean unlikely? I was there when he said it because we asked about. There was feminism and women's lib at that time, and so we asked him. But he also said if there is an advanced lady who is advanced, she can become guru and give diksha, and I support that.
Yeah,
but they have to be. Of course, I wrote all this. I'll say it again because I wrote all this in an article. Mr. Kalakanta asked me to support, and I said, yeah. And I wrote, yes, a guru or acharya has to know all these tattvas and also practice by their example. And I called it Blazing Saris. And so, and then one of the men gurus of ISKCON called me about it. He said, well, that's true for men gurus too. I said, yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly my question. If one has to be on the level of Mother Janava, as Prabhupada has said, to be a female guru, then that means the men have to be on the level of Lord Nityananda.
Nityananda or Prabhupada or, so.
The third one was Hemalata Thakurani, I think.
Yes. And what was some of her pastimes? I don't remember.
It's a good question.
Yeah.
I need to jog my memory.
I think in the Gopal Guru Sampradaya, another great branch of the Gopal Guru is the one who Lord Chaitanya was going to the latrine and he was holding his own tongue. And Gopal was a little boy. He said, why are you holding your tongue? And Lord Chaitanya said, I don't want to say the holy name in the latrine. It's a dirty place. And he says, but the Lord Chaitanya, you said the name is transcendental. And what do we do at the time of death when we're choking and passing stool and urine? And Lord Chaitanya said, so you are my guru. I'm going to name you Gopal Guru. Then he grew up. He became the custodian of Gambhira. And his disciple is Dhyanacharya, and they composed a great Shastra. And it's not the 501c3 tax-exempt registration of ISKCON. No, it's from another branch of Lord Chaitanya's tree, and they composed the Gaur Govinda Archana Paddhati, a whole description of how to practice worshiping internal worship of Lord Chaitanya's 8 periods of his day. I put the picture away. That's in Srivas Angan is one of them. That's the identical, non-different from Ras Leela. And also all the descriptions of the dress and the age and the villages of all the Sakis and the Manjaris. Wow, is important.
Sikarani, would you like to read the next word, Nirgrantha?
The next word, Nigrantha, indicates freedom from the bondage of illusion. Nigrantha also means one who has no connection with spiritual injunctions. Grantha means revealed scriptures, and Nir is an affix which is used to mean no connection, constructing and also prohibiting. There are many instructions for spiritual realization, and persons who have no connection with such spiritual injunctions are known as Nigrantha. There are many people who are foolish, low-born, and misbehaved, and who have no entrance into the revealed scriptures and injunctions, and therefore they are called Nigrantha. Because the word Grantha can also mean collected riches, the word Nigrantha also indicates a poor man, bereft of all riches, who is attempting to collect riches.
Any comments from anyone? Questions?
I mean, what an analysis of theology is going on here. In the West, they think of Plato and Socrates and Aristotle, and some of the Roman emperors, Marcus Aurelius, morons. Complete, and that's why they like them. That's why they glorify them with statues and study. When you study philosophy, you study them, how to think.
They're like the forerunners of Richard Dawkins.
Yeah.
I think even Osho, oh my God, so many of my friends are crazy.
Bhagavan, what did he call himself?
Bhagavan Rajneesh.
Rajneesh.
Yes, he was very learned in all these philosophies.
He was a professor. He was a university professor.
Yeah.
in Buddhism and Hinduism mixed all together. Khichdi.
Yeah.
Khichdi professor. Kavi Chandra's.
Tamal and I lived in a building across the street from a high-rise in Bombay, and that was purchased by some. First, it was purchased by Theosophical Society to be a building of like-minded Theosophical Society, but then their children and grandchildren weren't, so they started selling the apartments. So Rajneesh got the top floor, and he was doing his nonsense up there. And we had several life members in that building, and they kicked him out. Then he went to Pune. Then he went to Pune, and then Oregon.
Kavi Chandra Swami, are you there? Can you hear Maharaj?
I'm here.
Kavi Chandra, you're not. Kavi Chandra is not a sannyasi.
Yes, he is. Kavi Chandra Swami.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm listening.
Since the 19th.
I see you in a car with. I didn't see your. Where do you put your dunda in the back seat?
I'm listening.
No, that's Jivan Mukta in the car. Kavi Chandra Swami's picture.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Mayapur.
So we have no picture.
Kavi Chandra Prabhu has a background picture of
Sridham Mayapur.
Mayapur. Okay.
I'll turn on the camera in a minute. But
Maharaj, would you like to read the word Urukram?
The top of the page.
Yeah.
The
Top of the screen.
Indicate a highly powerful person, since the word Amma is used to indicate the act of stepping. The word Urukram also indicates one who stepped forward very far. The greatest step forward was taken by Lord Vamandev, covered the whole universe in 2 steps. Thus, the Supreme Lord Vamandev is also known as Lord Urukrama. This extraordinary feature of Lord Vamandev is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam 2.7. Read it very clearly.
Vishnurnuvirya gananam kata Vishnurnuvirya gananam katamor ratiha ya partivanti apika virvimani rajangsi shaskam bhagya varam hasash kalata tripirishtam yasmatri samyas sadanand urukam payanam. Maharaj, you want to give the translation there?
No one can
How
estimate the unstable potencies of Lord Vishnu. Even if one could count the number of atomic combinations in the material world, he still could not count the different energies of the Supreme Lord. As Vamandev, the Lord was so powerful that simply by stepping forward, he covered the whole universe from Brahmaloka down to Pataloka.
Would you like to say something about what you just read, please?
Well, I've been reading a lot, and I've always said, but I'm finding, more and more that Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva is essential. Materialists won't accept that as an argument because it says that we don't know. But actually it means we do know, because we know that Krishna is inconceivable. We know he's beyond this world, we know, but they don't want to accept that. They say that's like that's just because you don't know, you can't explain it. But you can't explain Krishna in any other way. It's beyond the mind. So that's the important thing. So Krishna does all these things which are impossible, but devotees accept it. Of course, for Krishna it's easy, but it's impossible for any other living entity. That's basically my understanding. But I have something I'd throw out. You were talking about the female gurus, and Prabhupada said not very many, and there's only a few names. Also in history, for non-females or males or whatever you want to call them, it's not that everyone who ever was an initiating guru is listed. Only the prominent acharyas are listed.
Right.
Otherwise, we might hear the name of somebody somewhere here and there, but
Very good.
basically, there were so many gurus, but they're not prominent big acharyas, so their names are not in the list. And same thing, there probably were more, females that were gurus, but they weren't prominent, famous people, that got written down in the history books.
Very good.
Tripurari Swami mentions that there's a few in the line of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. I forget their names.
Yeah, he mentioned a bunch, and then the other people say, well, those are Mayavadis, some Sahajis. You never know. There's an argument, like Acyutananda said, there's an argument for everything. That's the wonders of the philosophy.
Yes, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Shiksha Guru, and he maybe took Diksha, I don't know, from his gurus, Bipin Bihari Goswami. Very learned. He was also a smoker. He was from a village of Brahmins called Bhagnapara. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur never really rejected him, but he did not include him in the parampara. Why? Because he was a great scholar. He's not a realized soul. Instead, and also, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was starting to present this to the outside Western world, which went on to Bhaktisiddhanta and then fulfilled by Prabhupada. Wow, I'm shaking. So he did not want these caste Brahmins because they would never accept British and American and foreigners. They would treat them poorly. Instead, as his side associates, he accepted Jagannath Das Babaji and Gorkishore Das Babaji.
So is that where the split? Sorry, go on.
Yeah. So the other Bhagnapara caste Goswamis wanted Bipin Bihari to reject him, and Bipin Bihari only wrote some letter rejecting Bhaktivinoda Thakur after Bhaktivinoda Thakur's passing. There was still great love there, and it was respect.
So is that where the split was between Bhaktisiddhanta's brother Lalit Prasad Thakur and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, that Lalit Prasad Thakur was giving more emphasis to Bipin Bihari than he was to Gorkishore Das Babaji?
Maybe, but also Prabhupada told me after I discovered Lalita Prasad. One of the Gaudiya Mat sannyasis is Damodar, Bhakti Prapanna Damodar. And I was traveling in Krishnanagar with him, shopping or something. And he said, oh, Lalita Prasad is here. He's Bhaktisiddhanta's brother. I said, we have to go back. So we took the train from Krishnanagar back to Birnagar. And I met him there. He looked just like Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And then I introduced him to Prabhupada. Prabhupada came with many disciples. I saw the original handwritten books written by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, bound.
Wow.
He was a great soul. But when we came back, Prabhupada told me, he said, Bhaktisiddhanta asked Lalita Prasad to stay away from the mission. Otherwise, it would look like a family Goswami caste thing, Bhaktivinoda Thakur and sons, So he regarded, but then Lalita Prasad was saying, because Prabhupada offered, we can take care of you. He was probably in his 90s and still strong. Someone even told me they went to his latrine after he had left. And they said it smelled like rosebuds.
Wow.
But then Prabhupada said, we can develop this place and take care of you. And he said, yeah, but I have to be Acharya.
Oh.
And then Prabhupada looked at me and says, I always wondered why it was said that Pratishta, even after giving up Kama, giving up lust, Pratishta is hardest to give up. But I didn't know that he had some idea of Bipin Bihari Goswami and not Gorkishore. I didn't know that part. Did you?
Well, because Jagadananda, our godbrother, Hiranyagarbha, he went to over to the side of Lalit Prasad Thakur, and I don't know if he got this teaching directly from Lalit Prasad Thakur or if it was just his own thoughts on it, but he said because he said that we inherited the original sin. And I said, what are you talking about? And he said, because Bhaktisiddhanta made offenses to Bipin Bihari, and because Prabhupada's initiated by Bhaktisiddhanta, then all of Prabhupada's disciples inherited that original sin. And so I took him out of the Prabhupada disciple group because I thought, how could you be in our group thinking that Prabhupada made some offense?
But that's the important point that Maharaj just gave. And we accept the most prominent ones. There were gurus and Vaishnavas all along in different branches, but we accept, just like Jagannath Das Babaji was not initiated by Baladev Vidyabhushan. They may not have even known each other. I don't think they knew each other. Now, they all also had Goswami initiating gurus when they were young. That's the Pancharatrika system. But the Bhagavat Parampara system is we go by the most prominent that appear, even though there might be some gaps in time.
Kavichandra Swami, anything else from you? Maharaj?
Is he there?
I can't tell.
You can tell me.
Didn't hear the question.
There's Mayapur. See how Ganges is, they say white, and the Jalangi is black.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. That goes all the way to it comes all the way like that from Prayag, from Allahabad at the Kumbh Mela.
I was there in 1989. It was amazing. 30 million people.
Everyone has to go. There was a devotee here in Alachi when I first came. It's full of speculations, talking, everything. But then he told me he's going to the Kumbh Mela. I said, then he'll know. He'll know that when he sees 10 million people, coming to bathe the Ganges, he will get some power. Previous to the first in 71, Prabhupada kept saying to Tamal, I just want to go to the Kumbh Mela. And Tamal said, well, why do you have this desire to go to the Kumbh Mela? And Prabhupada said, to see all the saintly people there. I have one great Kumbh Mela story. In 77, Prabhupada was leading us to the Ganges, Kirtan, but it was the Naga Baba's day to go first. So like 3 or 4 columns, processions of Naga Baba's Shaivites were, their Mahants were on elephants, 3, 4 elephants, and these big, fat, the Nagas are skinny, but the Mahants are fat. These big guys with blazing red eyes from Ganja and big iron tridents, Trishulas, sitting on the elephants. Yeah. Looking like, Shiva Hum is their mantra. They become Shiva. So the army is in control of the crowds, and they stopped us. They said, wait here. And the procession went through, and then they let us go. Not too long. Later that night, we're in Prabhupada's tent, and he looks at all of us and says, you could not get an elephant for me? And then he laughed. He said, that's all right.
He said that to you and Tamal?
No, he said later that night in his tent.
Yeah.
We were all there.
Yes.
All of us. He said, you couldn't get me an elephant. And that was it. But another one thing that I wanted to say, it's sort of related to COVID also. He told all of his personal associates, assistants and servants, and then I was in the back seat of the car with Prabhupada was in the front, and he turned around and said, no matter what happens to me, don't take me to any hospital.
Jai.
I'm counting on you.
Jai. Shruti Kirti Prabhu told me Srila Prabhupada had 2 mantras, Hare Krishna and don't take me to the hospital.
Wow.
There's a story about Brahmananda. Prabhupada was in the hospital for something. I don't know what it was. but the nurse wanted to keep giving him injections, and
Yeah,
Brahmananda came. Bar Gargamuni was there, and
Gargamuni, they
They made-
rescued him. They
they
rescued
helped-
him and
Yes.
pushed him in the gurney. They pushed him out the door.
they helped Prabhupada to escape from the needle jabbers.
Yes,
Oh.
they gave him a spinal tap. And Prabhupada said, they just, when you come in there, will this injection cure me? We don't know.
They're saying the same thing now. FDA
Yeah.
approved emergency. Good to see you, Maharaj. Finally, at long last.
Hare Krishna.
I'm waving.
Yeah.
to Magua. So is that blue dome up, or is that?
Maharaj is in
That-
Bali
that-
right now.
That's the actual picture. That dome is there.
It's a painting. Maharaj is in Bali.
Wow. So is
Indonesia?
the Mayapur dome, the blue dome, constructed yet?
Yeah.
That
It
was
is.
yes? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Banglajanan.
Okay, where were we? Oh, yeah.
মহারাজ আপনি
Let's
বাংলা
see,
ভাষা
we're-
জানেন মহারাজ আপনার কত বয়স এখন? No, he doesn't hear me. Okay.
Tom Prabhu, you didn't read it all. Would you like to read the next short paragraph? No one can estimate.
Okay. No one can estimate the inconceivable potencies of Lord Vishnu. Even if one could count the number of atomic combinations in this material world, he still could not count the different energies of the Supreme Lord. As Vamana Dev, the Lord was so powerful that simply by stepping forward, he covered the whole universe from Brahmalok down to Patalalok.
I think one of the main. Go ahead. Go ahead.
We read that. Go to the
Yes.
next one.
Okay. All right. Pradyumna Prabhu, you didn't read. Or you can't because your baby's sleeping. I guess he's muted.
Uh-oh.
Who wants to read?
I'll read if nobody else wants to.
Go on. Yeah.
May I? Thank you.
Please.
Thanks. The inconceivable energies of the Lord are spread throughout the creation. He is all-pervading, and by his energy, he sustains all planetary systems. Yet through his pleasure potency, he remains situated in his personal abode known as Goloka. By the expansion of his opulence, he is present in all the Vaikuntha planets as Narayan. By expanding his material energy, he creates innumerable universes with innumerable planets within them. Thus, no one can estimate the wonderful activities of the Supreme Lord, and therefore, the Supreme Lord is known as Urukrama, the wonderful actor. In the Vishva Prakash dictionary, the word krama is defined as an expert display of energies, as well as stepping forward very quickly.
I have a question for Maharaj.
Sure.
In Bali, is there a rabbi there? In Jakarta?
I don't know.
Is there
Jakarta-
many Jews escaped Hitler, and they came to Asia during that time. They went all across Russia, and they came to Manchuria, and they came also to the island. And there's a rabbi who knows us, and he's we have to. He's a very good supporter of Old Testament or Hebrew Testament. They don't like it called Old, just like we don't. You know, some some editor came to my room, a ISKCON editor came to my room and he said, "Oh, you have the old Gita." And I said, "Yeah." So similarly, the Hebrew scriptures, they don't like it that Christians call it the Old Testament. So there's a rabbi there who knows, he sees the Krishnas a lot.
That would be in Jakarta. That's far away. It's not Jakarta.
Oh, okay. I don't know. We just.
I have a question for you, Acyutananda Prabhu. I'm just reading Jadharani's book that she kindly sent me as a gift, The Art of Spiritual Life. And I think this might be Srila Prabhupada's first letter to you. It was actually a joint letter. This is just after Prabhupada left for San Francisco. I guess that would have been 1967. And she says, a week after the departure of Guru Maharaj, Brahmananda, Gargamuni, Hayagriva, Satsarup, Kirtanananda, Acyutananda, and I received a joint letter from him with all of our names mentioned in the opening salutation. The letter read, "You have already got the news of our safe arrival and good reception by the devotees here. Mr. Allen Ginsberg and about 50 or 60 others received us at the airport, and when I arrived at my apartment, there were some press reporters who took note of my mission. 2 or 3 papers like the Examiner and the Chronicle, etc., have already published the report. I understand that you are feeling my absence. Krishna will give you strength. Physical presence is immaterial. Presence of the transcendental sound received from the spiritual master should be the guidance of life. That will make our spiritual life successful. If you feel very strongly about my absence, you may place my picture on my sitting place, and this will be a source of inspiration for you. Hope you are well. Awaiting your early reply. Yours affectionately, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami." Would you like to say anything about that?
Well, when he left for India, also before that, he had Jadharani painted portraits of Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Bhaktisiddhanta. They were in the storefront downstairs. And when he left, he says, "I'm leaving you in the care of Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Bhaktisiddhanta. The grandparents are always more kind to the grandchildren than the father."
Oh, nice. And then in his next letter to you, Prabhupada wrote, "Please accept my blessing. Since Kirtanananda is absent, certainly you are feeling some strain. But the more you serve Krishna, the more you become stronger. I hope you are being properly assisted by your other god brothers. I shall be glad to hear from you. May Krishna give you all protection in the discharge of your transcendental duties. Your well-wisher, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami."
Yeah, the strain was we were both cooking, and then I was the only cook. And I had to train up someone. It was very difficult. Prabhupada taught me and Kirtananda about 25 preps, and then to teach it in a few weeks is not possible. So that was the strain.
We hear
we kept up the Sunday feast also. That was hard.
We hear about Kirtanananda being called Kitchenananda, but I did not know that you were also one of the main cooks.
Yeah.
Prabhupada showed you personally.
Yeah.
And you got to eat Prabhupada's personal prasadam directly from his hand.
Yeah.
That must have been amazing.
Yep. Are you envious? Are you a Ritvik?
I'm not a Ritvik, but I wouldn't think that all Ritviks are necessarily envious.
That's a feel. We all wish that we could see Bhaktisiddhanta Bhaktivinoda Thakur in our next birth, and Prabhupada will be there too, in some different form though.
So Prabhupada was gone for a few months. I think you said 3 months in San Francisco before he returned, something like that.
I don't know if it was that long, but yes. And Shyam Sundar, Gurudas, and Mukunda, they really put on a great presentation.
You're saying in San Francisco. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. I heard there were 2 different moods, the mood of New York devotees and the mood of the San Francisco devotees.
Well, when he came back to New York, Gargamuni told me when Prabhupada sat down in his room in New York, he said, "Now I'm home."
Well, it's almost 10 o'clock here. Should we read any more or should we call it an evening? Any other comments from anyone? Who is Hilton?
Oh, interesting.
I'm wondering who that is. There's someone that joined called Hilton.
I don't
Paris
know that
Hilton?
on my part.
They're muted, so they're mysterious listener. We
Hmm.
don't know who they are. And we can't see their
Passive listener.
passive listener. Jivan Mukta, any questions from you? You always have good questions.
Oh, I've just been taking the nectar and absorbing it
Okay.
as much as I can.
Kavi Chandra Maharaj, you must have
Focusing
met Acyutananda in India way back when.
Barely. Met him a little bit when on Tamal's bus. Remember?
After
Traveled with
it's,
Tamal.
it's hard to hear.
He said he met you when you were on Tamal's bus.
I was never on Tamal's bus.
No, for a little while after Prabhupada left, you came around. But anyway, short. Didn't travel. I don't know exactly, but I remember.
Now, some people think that I was on the Radha Damodar party. I was never on.
No, never on the party, but somehow,
Visiting, maybe visiting.
And on the train when we went from Mayapur to Hyderabad and Hyderabad to Vrindavan, 75. Not anything close.
Okay, so thank you so much for everyone coming together.
Well, I have to run. Thank you.
Yeah. And we'll continue Monday. If anyone can come back.
Okay.
Panchakalpa,
Gaur Brahmanandi.
Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha,
Titanang Pavanebhyo
Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari.
Haribol. Haribol.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Glories to Srila Prabhupada.